In this video, we're going to be reviewing Xilonen's signature weapon, Peak Patrol Song. We're going to be reviewing it in general as a sword for your account and seeing if it's worth pulling for or not. I just want to say this is not a review for it on Xilonen herself, this is a review for it on your whole account. So we're just going to see if it works on which characters, if it's a good enough like general weapon and stuff like that. So yeah, let's begin. Alright, so starting off with the base stats, this weapon's going to have 542 base attack at level 90, which is low for a 5-star weapon. It's the lowest you can get, but it's also going to have a huge defense substat. It's going to have 83% defense substat at level 90, which is pretty huge. The substat is defense, so obviously it's not going to be like super broad. There's not many characters that are going to need defense or scale with defense. So just from that, we're going to see that this weapon is not really going to be like a super good general weapon. But let's continue with the passive. We have gain Ode to Flowers after you use normal or plunging attacks. So after you hit opponents with your normal or plunging attacks, you're going to gain 1 stack. 1 stack is going to increase your defense by 8% and increase all of your elemental damage bonus by 10%, maximum of 2 stacks. You can trigger it once every 0.1 seconds, so you can just do it right away. So what this weapon gives to the like character itself equipping it, it's going to give it 16% defense from the 2 stacks and 20% all elemental damage bonus, which is pretty good. But you just gotta use your normal attacks or plunging attacks twice to have the full 2 stacks. 1 stack is gonna last for 6 seconds. So yeah, this is all you get for the character equipping this weapon, but the passive is not over yet. This passive is gonna have more of like a supportive capability, which is kind of rare for weapons in general. It has when this effect reaches 2 stacks or the second stack's duration is refreshed, it's gonna increase all of nearby party members all elemental damage bonus by 8% for every 1000 defense you have, or the equipping character has. So for every 1000 defense the equipping character using this weapon has, all of your party members' elemental damage bonus is going to be increased by 8%, up to a maximum of 25.6%. So you're going to need 3200 defense to maximize all this passive. And when you do it, it's going to last for 15 seconds. So you don't need to be like refreshing stacks, you just need to like get 2 stacks once and then it's going to last for 15 seconds. Even if the 2 stacks go away, if the character using this weapon's off field, you're still going to have the effects for the rest of your party members. It's going to have a separate cooldown of 15 seconds, which is pretty good. It's going to be pretty easy. You can just equip it on any support. They just normal attack twice and then you have the effects for 15 seconds. The only thing that's locking this effect is that, as I said before, we're going to need 3200 defense to fully utilize this, which is kind of weird. I don't even know how they're going to count that. It says per 1000 defense, so I don't know if it's like every 1000 it gives you like a stack, or does it count by like the 100? I'm not sure. But either way, by simple calculations, we're going to need 3200 defense to fully maximize this effect, which is not really easy. This weapon is going to give you a lot of defense. It's going to give you 83% from the substat and then an extra 16% from the passive. But that's still not enough to reach 3000 defense for most characters. You're still going to need to build defense to maximize this effect. So yeah, as we're seeing here, this is not really like a DPS weapon. It's a support weapon, and it needs to be used preferably with a character that scales with defense so you can maximize it. Obviously, they can take advantage of the defense this weapon gives you, and then they can also, you know, help out your team. And they probably shouldn't be a main DPS because this weapon is not really made for main DPSs. There's no crit, no real like, you know, things that buff your damage except for the 20% damage bonus. So yeah, it's not really gonna be super good on characters that are like specialized damage dealers. It's more good on like either full supports or sub DPSs that can also support you. But yeah, knowing that, let's move on to characters and see which one of them can work with this weapon. So we have Ayaka no Jean. It's probably not, because you're not going to be building defense on Jean. There are many more things that need to be built on Jean, so you cannot really just give them away for defense, even though this weapon is going to give you some defense, but it's not going to be enough. You're probably only going to have like 1 stack, which is not good. So it's not recommended, but technically you can though. If you just want to use Jean as like a pure support, you can just equip this weapon. It's going to get you to around like 1,500 defense maybe, or something around that. With a couple other substats and stuff like that, you might get 2 stacks, which can be decent. 16% damage bonus to your whole team. It's not bad, but in general, it's not really the weapon for Jean. Traveler, probably just not. It's not really the weapon for him. Maybe like support travelers, but I'm pretty sure all of them are gonna have like better weapons, so yeah. Kea, no, as I said before, it's not really good for characters that deal damage because it's just gonna tank their damage completely. Same thing with Shinsho. Bennett, it's the same thing as Jean pretty much. You can use it. It's gonna be a little easier with Bennett because you don't really need like that much stuff with him. You just need energy recharge and that's it. If you don't care as much about his healing. And he already heals enough, so yeah. You can use this weapon, equip it on him, and it's gonna give you some defense. With a couple substats, maybe you can reach like that 2000 defense and get 2 stacks. And it's gonna fit his supportive role. The base stack is not the best, but you know, it's better than like most 4-star weapons. So yeah, it can work on Bennett. I would say it's like a high B tier to maybe low A tier weapon on him, especially for like the supportive capabilities. It fits him pretty well as a support character. So yeah, I wouldn't really say it's bad on Bennett, but it's definitely not perfect either. Chi probably not. Albedo probably one of the best users for this weapon. It's just gonna give him a lot of defense and damage bonus, so it's gonna buff his damage by a lot. Unfortunately, no crit, but that's okay. And it's also gonna buff the rest of your team. Albedo is usually just used as like a sub DPS support, so it's gonna fit him super well. You're just gonna increase your own damage, help you out defense, and then also buff the rest of your team, which is super good. Chain, definitely not. Kazuha, definitely not. Kirara, definitely not. Kuki, probably not. Ayato, no. Nilu, no. Layla, no. Alhatem, no. Lynette, no. Fiorina, no. Chiori, yes. Chiori is also going to be one of the best characters that can use this weapon. Exact same thing with Albedo. It's just going to give you a lot of defense, which is pretty good. And then also support the rest of your team. Chiori is usually played as like a sub DPS. So this is definitely going to be like a perfect weapon for her. You can max out the effects, no problem. She scales with defense, which is perfect. So yeah, it's probably going to be one of the best weapons for Chiori. Probably like next to her best in slot. Clarond, no. And then finally we have Xilonen. Obviously it's her signature weapon. She scales with defense, so you're going to increase her damage by a little bit and healing. And then you're going to max out the effects, obviously. The thing is, you're going to need to build defense on Xilonen if you didn't before with having this signature, because you'd want to make sure you max out the effects. But yeah, when you max out the effects, it's just going to be giving you even more damage bonus from Xilonen, which is super good. I wouldn't really say it's necessary for her, to be honest, because she already gives you a lot of damage bonus from the artifact set and resistance shred and stuff like that. She already is a good support, but it's definitely her best weapon in general. It's just going to give you more defense, more healing, and supportive capabilities, which is pretty good. So yeah, for the final conclusion, should you get this weapon? I'll say definitely no. Even for Xilonen herself, it's not really necessary at all. If you're trying to invest in her a little bit and want to upgrade her, I'd say get it. But if you want to invest in her a little more, I would say just go for C2. It's going to be much better than this weapon. If you have to choose between C1 and this weapon, go for the weapon. But if you're going between like C2 or this weapon, I'd say definitely go for C2. Even if you know at some point you're going for C2 in the future, I say just skip this weapon. It doesn't really do much except for some extra damage bonus, which is not really that needed. For Chiori and Albedo, it's going to be pretty good, but you know, it's not necessary for them either. They have free-to-play options, which are pretty decent. So yeah, unless you use all 3 of them and you like just need a defense sword and you really want it, then I would say go for this weapon, sure. I mean, it's the only defense 5-star sword we have. It's the first one. Other than that, I'd say definitely skip. It's not a universal weapon at all. If you're, you know, watching your primogems, you don't really want to waste them, this is definitely not a good investment for your account in general. There are much better swords that you can get, and they're going to work on many more characters. So yeah, in conclusion, this weapon is a skip. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.